Tonight, a special election episode from the podcast that brought you reviews of such stellar cinematic gems as Tammy and the T-Rex, Santa with Muscles, and Bloody Bloody Bible Camp. We've selected 5 election-based movies for discussion, but first, this word from Charles.
Hi.
Charles, keep going. We got to keep going here.
Yeah, we got to keep going.
24-hour news cycle.
Yeah. Well, we are going to definitely be pretty apolitical tonight. We're not going to get too crazy. It's a big distraction for anybody that's stressed out about the election, whatever your political beliefs are. So that's the first thing you need to know about tonight.
Yeah.
I like that we chose election-based movies
to not talk about the election.
Well, it kind of represents what movies can be, but it does. It's not about the current. And it's fictional U.S. elections. They're not, based on any true things.
Yeah.
But we should do our names.
I'm Mark.
I'm Kelly.
Go ahead, Micah.
I'm Micah.
And I'm Charles. Yay!
Hey!
I don't know how to fit myself in there when it's 4 people, but whatever. Welcome back, Micah.
It's a podcast reunion.
It is.
Hey, I'm here. It took me a once in a 4-year event to bring me back.
And can you describe what's going on behind you currently, Micah? What's going on in the background there?
It looks like a galaxy, doesn't it?
It does.
But it's actually chalk. It's a chalkboard.
Oh.
Yeah, he's going
a
beautiful mind
with a
over
whole
there.
bunch of just like random drawings back there.
Your back is like to the chalkboard. That's awesome.
Yeah, it actually is. It's I'm in a small area, so
okay. That's cool.
This is my little cave.
Just talking, Yeah, so the fictional U.S. movies tonight, because we, like I said, we wanted to be a little bit of a distraction. Now, if something happens, because we are live, if something does go, like if we hear a state goes to Trump or Biden or whoever, then we will let you guys know. But for the most part, we're gonna not really talk about that. We're gonna act like it's just not happening right now. Not that it's not important, but this is just kind of your alternate forms of entertainment tonight. So
I'm good with that.
Yeah. So, if we're starting chronologically, well, first of all, let's start, the movies are The American President, Wag the Dog, Primary Colors, The Contender, and The Purge election year. So if we're going chronological, we're going to start with The American President. Anyone have the synopsis on that? Because we didn't really discuss who's going to read what, but.
Can I just say this too, as not only a guest on here, but a fan of the podcast. I'm just so glad to see that you guys are back together after the torture porn episode.
Yes,
things were sounding a little rocky there for a while.
I actually really liked that episode. It went smoother than I thought it was going to go. So maybe not for Kelly, but I don't know.
As smooth as the blood flowing forth from all of the.
I think what was the worst one on that list? Was it Blood-Sucking Freaks?
Yeah,
by far,
no doubt.
That's okay. That's
yeah,
what
I watched the trailers of all of them, like as y'all were talking about them, and I watched the full Blood-Sucking Freaks trailer.
Yeah. Yeah, like Mark said, it's an R-rated trailer. It's very explicit.
And 2 minutes and 30 seconds was good enough for me.
Yeah, it's a bad movie. There's no way around that. So,
and honestly, the trailer is a pretty good representation of the entire movie.
Yeah, yeah. And I went back and looked at the curse. Like it really is like a lot of the people in it died like really young and not too long after that movie was made. Like it's kind of weird the way that happened. That guy, the guy that was Ralphus, he was actually in Return of the Jedi. He played an Ewok in it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So one little thing I forgot to mention. But all right, American President. So who's got the synopsis? Did we stall long enough? Okay.
Yeah, I've got one here. What if none of us had looked one up while we were stalling? A widowed U.S. president running for re-election and an environmental lobbyist fall in love. It's all above board, but politics is perception and sparks fly anyway.
All right. This is the trailer.
The president has asked me to convey to you that he's sending his energy bill to the floor with a call for a 10% reduction.
The president's expecting our full support.
Yes, he is.
The
Sydney.
president's dreaming, AJ. The president
Sydney?
has critically misjudged reality. If he honestly thinks that the environmental community is going to whistle a happy tune while rallying support around this pitifully lame mockery of environmental leadership, then your boss is the chief executive of Fantasyland.
Good morning, Mr. President. How are you today?
I couldn't be better. My apologies for the interruption.
Mr. President, I don't know what to say. I'm speechless.
All evidence to the contrary. What would happen if I called Sydney Wade and asked her to be my date at the state dinner on Thursday evening?
President can't just go out on a date.
I'm having dinner at the White House.
I'm having lunch at the Kremlin.
I don't know what happened. One minute I was calling him a mockery of an environmental leader. The next minute I had a date.
She didn't say anything about me.
Well, no, sir, but I can pass her a note before study hall.
Would you like to dance?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yes, sir. I'd love to.
Never mind that she is the hired gun of an ultra-liberal political action committee. And never mind that his 12-year-old daughter is sleeping down the hall.
Lucy, are you okay with this? My having dinner with a lady?
Dad, it's cool. Just go for it.
Never mind any of that, folks. My name is Bob Rumson, and I'm running for president.
In the past 7 weeks, 59% of the country has begun to question your family values.
This poll doesn't talk about my presidency. This poll talks about my life.
I gotta nip this in the bud. This has catastrophe written all over it. Sydney, the man is the leader of the free world. He's brilliant, he's funny, he's an above-average dancer. Isn't it possible our standards are just a tad high?
Do you think there'll ever be a time when you can stand in a room with me and not think of me as the president?
All right, and that was The American President. My first comment is the kind of vanilla title of this movie. What do we call this movie? It's about an American president. I don't know. The American President?
It was a very 90s movie.
Yeah.
You think so? I like this movie.
To me, it's like it doesn't really wow me, but it has the rewatch factor. I enjoyed it enough. It's like a nice movie. It's a nice romantic drama. It doesn't have, it like kind of lacks a certain specialness, but I think it's still pretty good. It's a good cast.
I think the script, the Aaron Sorkin script, is amazing, and I think the performances are all really good. It's a Rob Reiner film. I generally love Rob Reiner films. I think he's a really, really good director. I mean, the only thing that you guys say it's a 90s film, and there's part of that in the overall storyline, because it is a little bit weird with a man in a powerful position kind of asking a woman out randomly. That kind of in our culture today, it kind of strikes me as kind of weird. They treat it very light with kid gloves almost, and that's the whole premise behind it. But overall, I do really like it. I think it's a really good movie with some really solid performances, some really witty dialogue.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of West Wing, and this obviously seemed like the precursor to that series. And you even have Martin Sheen in this movie, who plays the president in West Wing. But the script is really well written, and they I think seamlessly kind of married the love story with the presidential story pretty well. I thought there were one too many gags where he realizes he's the president. He's like, "Why can't I order flowers? Oh, I'm the president." And why can't I just do this with it? Oh, I'm the president. Did you get that view? That and my only other problem was the Richard Dreyfuss character. He's so evil in the back room. Literally, it's just a bunch of guys smoking cigars in the back room.
And when we talk about The Contender, that's kind of an issue I have with that movie as well. So we'll get into that.
Yeah, and Richard Dreyfuss says, "What is it? The Christmas line? It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. He says it like as creepy as he can when he finds out he's got a girlfriend. Like, okay, Republicans are evil. We get it.
Yeah, it actually makes me wonder, are there any movies where the Republicans are the good guys in these? Or is it kind of like British people in movies are always the bad guys, and they always play like German bad guys too, like Die Hard. I don't know.
Well, that's one thing I liked about
Die Hard.
House of Cards.
That you don't ever really have true Germans like playing German bad guys. It's always British people doing accents.
Yeah.
I liked in House of Cards that Kevin Spacey's character was a Democrat, and he was obviously the evil guy.
Yeah,
exactly.
But he's also the protagonist too, so it's kind of, I don't know.
Well, yeah.
But I really do wonder. Like, I can't think of any off the top of my head that it's like a clear Republican was the good guy. I don't know. Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I know one. Lincoln, the movie Lincoln.
Well, that's yes, yes, that's true.
I think he was the good guy in that, if I remember it correctly.
That's true. Touche.
That is a good movie. That was actually one of the ones we talked about possibly picking for this, but we narrowed it down to elections.
So what did y'all think about the ending line? I thought that was beautifully written with the rose garden, where they because I could tell they had led up to it the whole way through the film, when he keeps trying to buy her flowers, and at the end he delivers that last little punchline before he walks away from her.
I like it. It seems a little cheesy.
It was a little cheesy, but that's what it hit me.
Works.
I was like,
but it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like a little Nicky, right? Like, it's a little cheap. Like, his performance is a little over the top, but it works.
It's really exactly like that. I really think you're gonna pick Adam Sandler movies someday, aren't you, Mark? You keep just threading that needle a little bit and getting it ready for us. So.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, Mark! I had a patient the other day who came in with her husband, and I don't know how we got on Adam Sandler movies, but he was like, "I love Adam Sandler, and did you see this? Did you see that?" And he and I were going back and forth, and like, "Yo, yeah, that one's okay." And then his girlfriend was like, "I really hate when Adam Sandler does all those crazy voices." And I was like, "You should not watch Little Nicky then." And she was like, "I hate that movie." And we really bonded over our hatred for Little Nicky that day.
So it's the movie that just keeps on giving. It brings people together.
Have you guys watched Hubie Halloween yet?
No,
but I've heard it's pretty much the same type of Adam Sandler.
I haven't watched it either, but I wanted to watch it. I've actually kind of enjoyed some of his Netflix movies. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy on that. So,
hey, as a parent of young children, the Hotel Transylvania trilogy is actually quite good.
I like those movies. I really do.
Yeah,
those are good.
Those are good.
Anyway, should we move on?
So back to election movies.
All right. So, anything else you guys want to talk about the American president?
No.
Oh, I love Annette Bening in this. She did a great job.
Yeah, she did.
American Beauty is one of my favorite movies, and she's, of course, did she win the Oscar for that? I think she did.
No, she didn't. She actually, what's her name? Hilary Swank beat her. And what's funny is that they were nominated again, and Hilary Swank beat her again the next time they were both nominated.
Oh, wow. For $1 Million Baby?
Yeah. So, she won it for $1 Million Baby and Boys Don't Cry. So I don't think she's actually won an Oscar, but both times she's been nominated, Hilary Swank won.
Wow.
Yeah, but I thought she was perfectly cast in this movie.
Yeah, and they actually had really good chemistry. Everything about it. Like, the performances were just spectacular. They're what elevate this for me. I mean, the dialogue's great too, but it's just I really like Michael Douglas in this role. It's a great role for him. So.
Oh yeah, he's perfect.
And he doesn't have as much of that kind of Squidwardy quality.
Squidwardy quality.
Yeah, sometimes,
Well, this is also 95. It's coming off of his run of Disclosure and Basic Instinct. His like, I guess you can just call it his softcore porn run. This is right after that.
What would Kelly call that? What was her topic that I said was basically softcore? Or erotic thrillers. What was it though? What did you really call it?
I think neo-noir, right? That was just that. But they
were erotic
thrillers, but
including Basic Instinct.
Yeah. and Body of Evidence. I forgot about that movie and I remembered it the other day. Like, man. Madonna. Okay. Well, should we go on?
Was Micah going on? Was he reading something? Was he or no?
Oh yeah, I was looking. How old was Michael Douglas when he made that? He was about 50 when he made American President.
Yeah,
not Basic Instinct. I wasn't looking at.
Oh, wait. I like Basic Instinct. I don't hate that movie. All right. Okay, so then let's go on to Wag the Dog. Anybody have a synopsis on that one, or should I go ahead and do it?
I do. I'm ready.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Quick fire. Shortly before an election, a spin doctor and a Hollywood producer join efforts to fabricate a war in order to cover up a presidential sex scandal.
All right, and here is the trailer.
There's a crisis in the White House.
What's the crisis?
And the president's top advisors have been called together.
Oh, jeez.
The sexual misconduct occurred inside the Oval Office. With the election only days away, how much will this scandal affect the outcome?
The president spent the weekend pressing the flash. He wasn't campaigning, he was dating, actually.
Now, Washington's top spin doctor.
We can distract the press for 11 days till the election. I think we got a chance.
Has an idea.
We can't afford a war.
We're going to have the appearance of a war.
But he can't pull it off without Hollywood's top producer.
Do I know you?
We have some mutual friends in Washington. Why come to me?
We want you to produce.
You want me to produce your war?
Not a war, it's a pageant. We need a theme, a song, some visuals. We need, it's a pageant.
New Line Cinema presents.
How close are you to this? What do you want the kid to say?
All the spectacle.
I know we're all concerned for the president.
I know we're all concerned for the president.
I know that we are all concerned for the president.
He didn't sell the line.
All the drama.
The president's going to go to war with Albania in about 30 minutes.
Albania's hard to ride.
These are chips.
We need it for the armed position on the screen. It'll be a kitten. We'll punch it in later, right?
And all the effects of real war.
Okay, put the village behind her.
Give me some sound of screaming.
Without the casualties.
America has seldom witnessed a more poignant picture.
They used the same process with the last Schwarzenegger movie. You're the man.
Albania, Albania.
That rhymes.
I can't believe it. We forgot a hero. It was like we sent him the Christmas card and we left out the
fruitcake.
There you go.
Sergeant Schumann, if I may, welcome to history.
How are you?
Anybody want a beer? Because I could party.
When it's cooking, it's cooking.
From Academy Award-winning director Barry Levinson.
When this goes national, I get to put it on my resume?
Actually, no.
What could they do to me?
They come home to your house and kill you.
Academy Award winner Dustin Hoffman.
This is politics at its finest.
Academy Award winner Robert De Niro.
How would you like an ambassadorship? That's my payoff. Hell, I just do it for a story to tell. Oh, no, you couldn't tell anybody. Listen, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, you couldn't tell. No. It's just it's a pageant. It's a pageant. That's what it is.
Wag the Dog.
When the fit hits the shan, somebody's going to have to stay after school.
And that was Wag the Dog. Wag the Dog. This was a weird movie. I had never seen it. And I was kind of excited because I thought, oh, this will be really apropos of, media controlling so much. But I don't know. I don't
find
know.
It was like,
well, I mean, the way they covered it was a little unrealistic to me. I think my main problem was we never heard any reaction from Albania, did we? Like, wouldn't Albania have said something at some point during all of these months of war with Albania?
I feel like there was a moment in there where they said Albania was screaming their defense or something like that. And then everyone was just like, of course they're going to. They're the enemy.
Yeah.
They're going to defend themselves. We don't care. America.
I love this movie. I don't know.
Oh, man.
I really do. This is, out of all these movies, this is probably my favorite one.
Really?
Wow.
Well, yeah.
I don't know about that.
Really? Okay. I don't even think it's the only one that might be closest to Purge. The Purge might be my second favorite. But go ahead.
This one's definitely the smartest one. Like the smartest take on it. The American president is pretty straightforward. It's just a love story tacked onto it, and Primary Colors is autobiographical. We'll get to that. But this one is really unique and original, and you could say fantastical, but at the same time, I wouldn't put this past,
Right.
certain administrations.
And especially nowadays, like I wonder like how much of it's even more true with the type of technology we can do and the effects. Like this is just it was barely like kind of fantasy at the time, and here it is like nearly 25 years later. So I really do wonder.
This was actually even before the 96 election. And all of this happened, like it was written, it was released and everything before the 96 election. And it's pretty mirrored to what was happening with Bill Clinton.
You talking about Primary Colors or Wag the Dog? What are we talking about here?
No, Wag the Dog, because there's
really?
They're trying to cover up a sex scandal, and around the time that the impeachment was happening, I'm sorry, not the election, the impeachment. It was before the impeachment of Bill Clinton, and
Gotcha.
When that was starting to pick up speed in Congress with the impeachment, Bill Clinton ordered a strike on somebody, I can't remember, but it was very like, well, you can't impeach a president who's in the middle of possibly getting into a war with this other country. And
yeah,
I didn't think of that.
But I think it toes the line between being like funny and serious. Like I think it's, like you said, it's really smartly written, but it's also really funny too. It's a dark comedy, not unlike like Doctor Strangelove or something like that. I really do enjoy it. I think the performances are amazing. The ending is pretty dark with the little nod that De Niro gives the guy at the end as Dustin Hoffman's walking out. Like whoa, like that just kicks it up a notch. You know?
Yeah, there were a lot of, I agree, it's a really successful dark comedy. There are a lot of moments. It reminded me, the humor of it kind of reminded me of Fargo in a way, in that Fargo is not like a slapstick dark comedy, and neither is this. It's not overtly LOL funny, but there's a lot of kind of like, oh, that was clever, that was smart, like little internal chuckle moments. Woody Harrelson, I thought that whole thing was it was kind of crazy and funny, and
I like it.
So I agree with everything y'all are saying, but to me, it like only got 80% of the way there. Like I could tell the tone they were going for, and I'm a huge fan of absurdist comedy and dark comedy. Like I'm a huge Catch-22 fan, but there were some weird scenes where it kind of they went into kind of a lull when they were watching Willie Nelson's character play music, and I was wondering what was happening. And there were like some artful moments that just weren't artful enough for me, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I need to rewatch it.
So you wish it would have skewed more like kind of artful and like style wise and tone as opposed to like the comedic stuff. Okay.
There wasn't. I don't know. It didn't get me all the way there. I wasn't all the way on board with the way they did everything.
It's funny because like I like I said, this is probably my favorite one from this list, and when we get into like Primary Colors, like I feel like Primary Colors didn't quite get all the way there for what they wanted. I feel like this one very successfully navigated its way through and kept the tone. Anyway, like I said, I really do like it.
Well, one of my problems is the Dustin Hoffman character. Like I saw his thing coming from a mile away, and I hoped that I was wrong. Right when he was in the car and he was talking about wanting to get credit for everything, and I thought, oh no, is he gonna shoot himself in the foot? And then he does, and I don't know. I felt like his character would have known better, but maybe not. I don't know.
It's just funny because I mean I knew that I was thinking that could come as a possibility, but I didn't actually think they would go all the way through with it. So it's interesting from that perspective. But yeah, I thought it was the funniest out of all these movies, by far. Like, and again, when we get and talk to Primary Colors, like I don't know what kind of tone they were going for.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
do you guys want to move on?
Should we move on to Primary Colors? It's next anyway.
I'm good with that. You guys good?
Yeah.
All right. Whoa, what's that? I heard like a weird electrical hum. Anyway, okay, primary colors. Who's got a synopsis for that?
I've got one. And it is short and sweet. A man joins the political campaign of a smooth operator candidate for president of the U.S.
All right, and here is the trailer.
I've never helped run a presidential campaign before.
Neither have we.
From Mike Nichols, director of The Birdcage, comes the story of a man
I'm going to do something really outrageous. I'm going to tell the truth.
who said yes to destiny.
I'm going to win this thing.
But couldn't say no
Apple fritter?
Honey, please, popcorn.
to anything else.
Governor Jack Stanton seduced me.
No, it is not true.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We've had some tough times in our marriage, but we've worked them out.
Our Jackie's done some pretty stupid things in his life, and he's got enemies.
Well, this has to be handled just right.
Just right.
I'm gonna want a signed confession.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, mister, you're about to become Mrs.
Okay.
Ain't this just great?
Universal Pictures presents John Travolta,
What's he governor of again?
Emma Thompson,
Jack Stanton could also be a great man if he weren't such a thoughtless, disorganized, slime-sucking,
Psychotic.
Get me out!
You just threw the phone out the window.
Primary Colors.
Does this guy have a chance in hell?
No.
What?
Screenplay by Elaine May.
All right, that was Primary Colors, and my first comment is that it bothers me that red, white, and blue are not the primary colors. And the opening scene is the American flag over the title.
It really took me a long time to realize the pun of the title. Like I did never put it with a primary until very recently, when we started talking about these movies. I was like, oh, it's like, yes, because again, this is another movie that I saw 20 years ago before we rewatched it for this, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. This was interesting. This movie was really interesting because John Travolta is just really a bizarre casting choice. I felt jarred at the beginning of it and was like, I don't know because I agree with you, Charles. I couldn't tell the tone they were trying to strike with, because he did a decent Bill Clinton, I guess, but something about the way he holds his face and his smile makes him just look, I don't even know how to describe it, but I couldn't get on board with it. But then I sort of fell into it as the movie went on, the 2 hours and 23 minutes that the movie unfolded. But by the end, I liked it more than I thought I was going to. And I really liked the supporting characters. I thought Kathy Bates was awesome in it. She had a lot of,
I agree.
Her scenes toward the end were just a gut punch. I mean, she delivered them so rawly and so passionately. I was surprised by how effective those scenes were.
I think without Kathy Bates, this movie doesn't work at all. I feel like she's the glue and the connective tissue and the storylines that holds it all together. Because I actually the first half of this movie, especially before she gets in it, I just don't like it at all. And part of it is it's that weird tone where I think it wants to be this silly comedy, but it's trying to tackle these serious things, and it doesn't gel for me at all. And John Travolta's a big part of that. I just did not like his character, because he's kind of it's a caricature of Bill Clinton. It's almost like what Saturday Night Live would do with Bill Clinton, even though it's not really Bill Clinton. It's clear, but it clearly is. But the part that really gets me is Billy Bob Thornton when he's brought on, and one of his first scenes, he unzips his pants and exposes himself to a staffer, and they treat it just like it's a joke. They treat it oh, ha ha, this guy's so crazy, this lady made a quick joke about him and it's moved on. It's like wait a minute, that's Billy Bob Thornton's one of the, I guess, good guys in this movie trying to help on the campaign. He's presented as the smart one in a lot of ways, and I just again, it comes back to 25 years later in today's culture, that would not fly.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be in a movie today, and if it was in real life, he would have been arrested on the spot, and the whole campaign would have been thrown out. Yeah. I mean, truly, and for good reason. That bugged me. It just felt lazy, and the jokes just didn't work. And yet, Kathy Bates, she had a lot of energy on screen, and I think her story was fantastic. Her storyline, the way it worked into it, and that makes every character that much better. The main guy Henry, it makes the John Travolta character that much more tragic, because you kind of realize, like, the whole point of him was that his persona is he's lying to you as the audience member, and he's kind of trying to win you over on his side to, and so I get it that they were trying to kind of show the humor and the fun of it and at the first half, and then expose the ugly truth behind it, the ugly belly of it in the second half. I just don't think it works overall for me. And this is probably my least favorite out of these movies, if I'm being honest. So
yeah.
Anybody else like?
Yeah, I've got a lot. So John Travolta, I think we talked about this with Bruce Willis. I can't remember which movie, but like, I can't tell if I think John Travolta's a good actor or not. He always seems like hit or miss. I know he gets made fun of for Battlefield Earth or whatever. Is that what it was called? Battlefield Earth?
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, I felt that was an odd casting choice, but he did really well, winning me over with these very Bill Clinton-esque lines. And to your point, Charles, I feel like they should have brought in Kathy Bates from the beginning and really built the relationship between her and I wrote the actor's name down.
Emma Thompson, or who?
No, the campaign manager.
Oh, Henry.
Oh, Adrian Lester. Yeah, Adrian Lester's character, Henry. So I feel like they should have built that relationship, because by the time they took the road trip together to go find out the information, it felt odd that they were in the car together and kind of bonding and kind of not bonding. And so I feel like they should have leaned on Kathy Bates more to carry some of this movie.
Yeah,
I felt like
to that. I actually think you could have gotten rid of the Billy Bob Thornton character and the the Maura Tierney, or however you say her name. I don't think, not that they're bad in the movie per se, but if you got rid of their characters, Kathy Bates more, I don't know. I think it could have been a lot better.
Yeah, you could consolidate them into her character. And Adrian Lester, the Henry just felt really naive, or not even naive, but I couldn't really get behind his character arc. Like, he should have known better from the beginning, I guess. He seemed too idealistic at the beginning, and then by the end, he's supposed to feel more, seems like a little bit more disenchanted. But I don't know. I didn't like this movie didn't make me like him.
Well, and I don't like his performance. I think he was kind of the weakest out of all of them, to be honest.
It's kind of like deadpan.
Yeah,
and just sarcastic the whole time.
And I wondered, because he's a British actor. He's doing an American accent. His American accent's fine, but I do wonder if that played into it, where the way he's talking is influencing him, and it's very milquetoast and monotonous and all that. There's not a lot of inflection in everything he says, even when he's supposed to be like angry. But having said that, though, I do love the ending. Now, again, it makes you feel kind of awful what happens, but I'm not even talking about necessarily with the Kathy Bates thing, although that's part of it. But just the last shot of the movie, I think, is pretty brilliant. But again, that doesn't feel like a comedy. It doesn't fit the first half of the movie at all. So makes me almost think that they worked backwards from an ending and figured out how to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sorry. Go ahead, Micah. It looks like you've got.
I didn't watch this one.
Well, never mind.
That's a good point.
I agree.
Point taking. Yeah.
I agree with Micah.
It was too dang long.
It was really long.
So, yeah.
Well, I was going to say,
Back
so
into my shadow now.
with the Hillary Clinton character played by Emma Thompson, I always want to say Emma Watson. Anyway, Emma Thompson was so interesting, having been through the 2016 election, because she's the most relatable character, and you kind of feel a little bit bad for her for being married to Bill Clinton and having to deal with all of these, he'd be such a perfect politician if you could keep it in his pants type thing, and she's got to sit there and listen to them strategize about all of the women.
Yeah.
And so so I feel for her in this movie, but then having gone through the 2016 election, I'm like, oh man, Hillary, so much baggage. I know we're not going to get political, but I had a friend one of my friends who's a teacher. He said something really, I think, apropos of the 2016 election. He said both parties basically nominated the one person who might lose to the other. Like, if anybody was going to lose to Hillary, it would have been Trump. And if anybody was going to lose to Trump, it would have been Hillary.
Yeah.
And so,
I
anyway.
agree.
But that's all behind us. It's all behind us, everybody. That was 4 years ago. We've been through so much since then. My favorite line in this movie, just to lighten it up a little bit, was
pulling
Kathy
his
Bates.
face off as you say that. He's like,
4 long years ago.
Got something on your mind there, Micah?
We've been watching a lot of Scooby-Doo. It looks like he's about to reveal himself
He
to be.
really does.
You meddling kids.
Old
No, my
Mr.
favorite line in this movie was Kathy Bates. You wet fart of a human turd. That's beautiful. I'm gonna use
As
that in the
delivered
classroom.
by, as only Kathy Bates could.
Yeah, like I said, she was amazing in this movie. It truly. I think that scene where she kind of brings the stuff back. I love it. It's so good. It hurts you. Like, it really does. And that's the only reason that I don't just dismiss this movie completely.
Well, but then right after she dies, spoiler, and he talks about the letter she wrote at the funeral. Like, you can see the machinations of him, like sounding authentic, even though he took her words out of like he made it seem like this lighthearted thing when really she was like had been cut to the core by this so much that she,
Well, and since we are getting into spoilers a little bit, I'll try to dance around it a bit, but what he ends up doing at the end with the information that she gave him, he acts like he did it for her and he did a good thing, but he still used it to hurt his political opponent. He just didn't do it publicly. Like, am I missing something? He still did something wrong. He didn't do what she would have wanted him to do, because I'm sure she wanted him just to get rid of it, right? Bury it, ignore it.
Yeah.
Right? Am I missing something there? Like, he acts like he did a good thing.
No, no. I think he did a cop-out version of, he didn't do the worst choice that he could have made, and so I guess he thought that was okay. That was good enough.
Well, and on this point, and this will lead us kind of into the Contender, unless you guys have anything else major to say. I feel completely disenchanted watching some of these movies, because I'm like, I don't believe anybody acts like this in politics ever, right? Like the Kathy Bates, I don't believe anybody has ideals. And so maybe that's just my,
but
in 2020.
Do you think 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago when this movie came out, do you think you would have believed it then? Is it a product of its time now that it's, that kind of thing?
It's a hard question, because I would have been younger and more naive then too. But I don't know what the mood was like for adults back then. But I know politics has always had a bad rap, and there's always been muckraking and mudslinging. But I don't, just some of these lines, like especially in American President and in the next movie, The Contender, I'm just like, people don't stick to their values this much. I don't know. They should, but I just don't. It's just hard to imagine this in real life.
Yeah, it's kind of a depressing thought. But one last thing real quick. I did notice that Kathy Bates was nominated for Best Actress for supporting role for this.
Nice.
She didn't win, but I thought that was...
Yeah, was anybody else? I think she was the only one, right? Nominated for acting?
Yeah, it was, the other nomination was for Best Writing Screenplay based on material previously produced or published.
Is it Elaine May? Is that who wrote it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's, again, without her, this movie just falls apart. So,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
All right, you wet fart of a human turd. Shall we move on to The Contender?
Let's do The Contender. And I think, Micah, are you going to do the synopsis for this one?
I've got the synopsis, yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Very long. Here we go. Senator Lane Hansen is a contender for U.S. Vice President, but information and disinformation about her past services that threatens to derail her confirmation.
And here is the trailer.
War is the natural extension of politics. And on the floor, there will be casualties. So what you've done? I don't know now. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you
Vice President-designate Lane Hansen. The president today nominated Senator Lane Hansen to fill the vacancy left by the death of the vice president almost 3 weeks ago.
The job of you two to make sure that confirmation gets through. I'm not confirming a woman just because she's a woman.
We have permission to turn it.
Of course we can. I mean, you do have it confirmed that it's her.
She's putting on a sex gun. Or you can claim her because I don't know how sex works. She says it's cheating.
I know. We all have to understand we're going to obliterate a life. From what I say, the American people will believe. And you know why? Because I have a very big microphone in front of me. You were involved in trading favors with several parties.
They got witnesses.
She was very drunk when she had sex with my friend. No, it's not going to be that easy for you, and it's not going to be that easy for them.
What have you got on a distinguished gentleman from Illinois?
The investigation makes it easy.
You got something embarrassing.
You really committed adultery?
No.
He's got the world thinking you're something out of a bad soap opera. You understand that you are under oath.
Yes, I understand that between the two of us, I'm under oath.
DreamWorks Pictures present.
What exactly happened?
It's really nobody's business.
What is our business? Gary Oldman.
We're both sticking to our gun. Different bit. Come on, wrote it.
Joan Allen.
I just can't respond to like it's just because it's not okay for them to me.
Jeff Bridges.
A woman will serve in the highest level of the executive.
Christian Slater.
Somebody else is on board.
Sometimes you can assassinate a leader
Somebody somewhere from the time.
without firing a shot.
Are you calling it?
Believe this, there are traitors among us.
The Contender.
All right, that was the trailer for The Contender. The Contender. Yes. This movie took me by surprise because I had no idea what it was about, and I just started watching it. And then when the sex scandal stuff happened, I was like, "Oh, that's the direction we're going." But I think it's a really good it's a really good discussion of, this, and the way she handles it makes you realize, oh yeah, it really kind of doesn't matter at all what happened when she was in college. Like whether or not it happened, I don't know. It's interesting.
This one I saw a long time ago, and it didn't hold as much weight as it does today, because I think also, from the view of when it came out, I was in my early 20s, so it doesn't, that wasn't something that really was a reality to me. But with all the hearings that have gone on, and I mean, the one I kept flashing back to, when I was doing research on this, was the Brett Kavanaugh hearing. It's like dragging out all the details of your past, and how does that affect the person who you are? There's a lot of questions that surround that.
Yeah. I really, really liked this movie. I didn't know what to expect, like you guys are saying, but I felt like it was at once realistic and idealistic too, because I mean, especially in those early scenes when Hansen is about to be appointed by the president for the vice presidency, and they throw her all these little softball they're like, oh, you look so nice. Oh, is that what you're gonna wear? It's like all the tiny little things about women in politics and women in the spotlight in general that are just would you go to a man and be like, oh, you look so nice. Oh, is that the suit you're going to wear? Like, probably not. I just, they didn't really hit her with any kind of meaty, important questions. I mean, like, how are you? I don't know. And so but then as the movie went on, it was kind of frustrating to see, because she was almost like, her character was very reserved, and she really stepped back and let all these men around her pull all the strings. And she sort of, at first I felt like she was a little bit cowed by them, and she was just going to play along with whatever they wanted. But then as the movie went on and on, she really held her ground almost to a I don't know. I mean, there's stuff I want to say about the end, but I don't really want to say it because I think the end is so good and I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it is, Michael, like you were saying, such an interesting conversation. Like she really stood by her guns, and it doesn't matter whether what I did, it doesn't matter whether it happened or not. You shouldn't be asking me this question. And it's like, how much weight should something that happened 20 years ago hold today? No one's really the same person they were. And you hear constantly about men with their sexcapades, and she says something, I think the quote is something along the lines of, nobody cares how many sexual partners a man has, but they care how much a woman has. And I think that's true to an extent. I don't think it's completely true, because I think you were mentioning the Kavanaugh hearings, Micah. Like I think people still sling mud for male candidates as well, but I just don't know. I had a lot of complicated thoughts and feelings while watching this movie, but at the end I was like, you go girl, you stick by your gun, you do it.
That's kind of that was kind of Mike. I was just like, nobody that I know of would do what she did in her position. You know what I mean?
And that's the idealism. Like that's what I don't know if anyone could be that resolute in the face of so much.
Well, that's what's crazy. So I've got this like suspicion that there are other ways to do things successfully than the way the political machine has like trained politicians to do things. Like when was it Jeff Bezos who had the sex scandal and somebody tried to blackmail him, and he was just like, no, I'll just be public about it and like admit to it and move on. And now we don't have any, it's like,
well, David Letterman did the same thing.
Like you can just face these things head on, or you can just say, no, I'm not going to answer about a college rumor about, and she just doesn't. She just sticks to her guns. So
yeah,
it was heroic to watch in the context of the movie. But
well, and so when we were putting this list together, I pushed for this movie mostly because it's possible we'll have the first female vice president after this election, and I just thought that was an interesting thing. That's what this is about. I don't think I don't think Kamala Harris has had anything this lady had to go through. But I like the conversation points this movie makes. I do think a man is treated much more friendlier and all that, but then politics himself have just kind of devolved. The Brett Kavanaugh thing for one, but it's just an interesting movie. I think some of it's a little over the top. I think we're talking about, like, Gary Oldman is awesome in the role, but he's an evil Republican villain, not unlike the Richard Dreyfuss character, and he's much more evil in this movie. I mean, they're sitting around the room and
the most gross-looking hair they could find, the most oily, like thinnest on top, but still growing out. Like, come on, guys!
But that's what I mean.
As somebody whose hairline's a little thin, I'm starting to feel attacked
because
here.
they make him so over the top. Yeah,
like an evil way.
Oh, he is. But because they make him so over the top, it almost like diminishes the reality of what this thing actually happening in real life. Because it's very possible these things would come out and they would, use it to keep women, whatever, from getting higher offices. But I think it hurts the film overall that even though he's great in the role, I think it's just too unrealistic. Too scene chewery there kind of thing. But yeah, I don't like the whole twist with the William Peterson character. I think that's too simple, too kind of Deus Ex Machina kind of thing. I just think it didn't need it. I don't think he really needed any of his character to have made this a good, solid movie, right? I mean,
it just seemed odd, and it seemed odd to start the movie with him in the boat,
right? Right,
and it wasn't about him at all. It was
because
kind of weird
they used it. They used it. Oh, this is why you can't, because it's going to be too much like what happened with Ted Kennedy, and so it's like there was no reason for any of it. I just don't get it. And that came out of nowhere, and I didn't like that part. And also I should mention Jeff Bridges plays the president, and he was just diagnosed recently with leukemia, so. I hope he's doing okay. I'm kind of following him on social media, so we'll see, because I think he's a fantastic actor, and I think he's great in this movie.
So can I ask, did anybody pick up on, maybe this is just me, when he was talking with her at the very end and finding out what really happened, there was a split second where I thought he was going to make a move on her. And I didn't know if that was intentional, but I thought that was genius.
I agree that even the way they were sitting and they got really close together and kind of, it seemed like that. I agree.
It did.
And I thought, is this where this is going? No. And then they did. I was like, okay. But I like that they put that in there because you do have, a man in a position of power and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, if this were the American president, he would have asked her out. I mean, that's the one thing I didn't like about the American president. I think it's like kind of a man using his power. But again,
that's why you have power, Charles, to use it. Why would you?
Yeah.
Why would anybody want power if you weren't supposed to use it?
That's right. But yeah,
wait. I don't, okay, never mind.
Go ahead.
Now, I think they handled it really well in The American President, with him not coming off as abusing the power or using it to intimidate her to do anything.
I agree. They did handle it well. It's just it started out for me. I'm like, this is a little weird. Especially
there were a couple scenes where I thought, the power dynamic is,
Well, him having to use the FBI to get her phone number or whatever, I thought that was a little too much. The movie writes it off as kind of charming and a quirk, but it's just, I don't know. But in this movie, I don't know. I don't love this movie as much as you guys do. I think it's an interesting conversation thing. I think women definitely get treated like this a lot more than even people that support them realize they do. And it's like all the little microaggressions and all the questions, like you mentioned, Kelly, that a man would never be asked, let alone the big things that they're asking in the thing. It's just, I think we've gotten to a point in society where it's more the polarization that it doesn't matter man or woman much anymore. They're just going to try and use anything they can against you.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, but again, that's not to say that I don't think women have it significantly harder trying to get into office, and there's a reason we have yet to have a female vice president or president. So I think this is an important film in that regard. I just wish they'd been a little more realistic with their villain and a little more realistic with her, instead of having her be so like black and white. A little more nuanced, I think, could have helped it be a much better film and probably more well known, because I don't think most people I talk to have not seen this movie. So
yeah, I never even heard of it. But
right.
I was gonna say too, they invite the audience to judge her because the way we're introduced to her is she's having sex with her husband. And so she gets the phone call like, oh, so this whole and then the allegation of what she did in college, like, oh, maybe she really is, like a hypersexual person, or maybe she could just be, having had sex with her husband, which is a completely normal thing to do. So I like that nuance there of the way they introduced her to us, and it's like we have to get over that bias as well.
And it should be perfectly acceptable. Like, who cares? Like, that should not be an issue. But you're right. That is a good touch the movie does. I do like that.
And I do agree with you, Charles, that Gary Oldman is a little bit over the top. It didn't bother me enough to prevent me from liking this movie at all, but it was weird to see him as a villain. I mean, I'm sure he's been villains before, but I can only recall seeing him as the White Hat. And so it was odd to see Gary Oldman be so evil.
He
played a weird villain in was Sixth Element?
Fifth Element.
The Fifth Element, yeah. Where he had like the face thing on or something, and he had a weird accent.
I completely forgot he was in that movie.
And speaking of his accents, like he also in The Professional, Leon the Professional. Have you guys seen that movie?
Yes, he has the famous. It's his line that's the famous.
Give me everyone. Yeah,
yeah.
He does accents so incredibly well because. I know, Mark, you'll probably say something about this, but my wife, when she was watching this, she had no idea he's the same guy from Batman, and part of that is because of his accent. He even though he's doing two different American accents, he fully embodies them, so he does not seem anything else but that character.
Yeah,
it's kind of amazing.
And let us not forget his fabulous accent in The Scarlet Letter.
Yes.
He was in that.
Yes, yes.
And his fabulous swimming scene.
Yes, it's a little eye-opening there. Sorry, Micah. I don't know if you remember that episode.
He did not look like an Oldman there, is all I'm saying. Sorry, moving on. We promised entertainment on this election night.
Yes, we did. All right, are we moving on to the next one? Anybody else have anything to say?
Let's purge our system from that nonsense.
All right, so I'm going to read the synopsis for the... go ahead, Mark. Or Micah.
I was going to say, speaking of purging, I'm going to have to purge myself from the podcast. I'm sorry, I got to go.
He's been sacrificed.
Really? When we talk about the purge?
Yeah, right. Right when I'm talking about the purge. I've been purged.
Have you been drinking this whole time?
I have.
Oh. Well, hello.
Why? Now that you ask, yes, Charles.
Why, yes.
All right.
Nice Chianti. Is that
good, yeah, to go with your liver and your fava beans, Micah.
Yes. This is freedom juice.
It was excellent to have you on, sir.
Yes.
Please come back soon.
Well, I'll see you all on the other side.
All right. See you later, man. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Don't get murdered by those roving bandits.
Okay, well, so I guess I'll read the synopsis here. Former Police Sergeant Barnes becomes head of security for Senator Charlie Roan, a presidential candidate targeted for death on Purge night due to her vow to eliminate the Purge. Purge. And here is the trailer.
We played a lot of Purge games this evening. We have just one more. It's called Mommy's Choice. Which one of you will survive this year's Purge?
The soul of our country is at stake. The Purge targets the poor and the innocent.
The senator's going to win, and she's going to make real changes, too.
It is a night that is defining our country.
It's time to do something about that, Senator.
The Purge has to come to an end.
You take a lot of risks, Senator.
I have to. I was the only one in my family to survive. What made you apply for this position?
I almost did something on Purge night some years back. I want this night gone.
I want men in all these rooms. We got eyes and ears on everything.
All right, let's begin.
This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of the annual Purge. At the siren, all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 hours. Your government thanks you for your participation.
Someone betrayed us. This is not a drill. We are on our own. We have one goal right now. Survival.
Senator, come with us.
You gentlemen understand what's at stake here.
Maybe it's our duty to help protect her.
Here they come.
Blessed be America for letting us purge and cleanse our souls. Join me as we eliminate evil. Purge and cure. Purge and cure.
And that was the Purge election year day version. Was it election day?
Election year.
Election year. Yeah, this man. I've never seen the first Purge. Was this the second one in the series, or have there been
the third one?
It's the third. Okay, so what a ridiculous premise this is, and I was not able to suspend my disbelief at all throughout this movie. The fact that she like stays in her house, you know, she's running for president, and her opponent is in favor of the Purge. She's against it. She's like, no, I'm going to stay in this little apartment with a couple, metal blinds, and I'll be fine. Was ridiculous, and they just kept making bad choices throughout this movie that just took me completely out of it.
Earlier I said this was my second favorite. I was kidding. It's not my second favorite out of this list, But I don't hate this movie either. I think it's entertaining. It's okay. The first one that I've seen so far, I think the first one's the best, and even that one I don't love. But I think the idea is okay. I think it's an interesting sociological concept, right? Like, would people be better if they could purge themselves? I don't know. And it's pretty terrifying too. I mean, the concept is the first movie takes place inside a house. Like, it doesn't get too far outside. And then the second, third, and I had not actually seen the fourth one, but they mostly take place outside. So they show more of the world and what it's like. And the few shots in this movie when they're like driving through and they show like crazy weird stuff happening, those are some of the best in the movie because they're creepy and they're weird. And I wish they would have really, really expanded on that stuff to see some more of the costumes and the crazy things that were happening. I feel like in all the movies so far, we're kind of left with the most boring, mundane people. We don't get to see the craziness.
Yeah.
I feel like there should be a better balance of it. But again, I don't hate these movies.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't. The premise, I was kind of interested in the premise. I mean, it is kind of it is just seems like a unique concept, but I didn't really like this movie very much. I didn't like any of the characters. They all felt very flat to me. Nobody had any development whatsoever. The way they all started is the way they all ended. Yeah. And it just made it hard to get really invested in anything that happened. And I didn't think it was scary. I hated that the whole plot line with the girl who wanted to come and rob the convenience store. Who was
the candy bar.
Yes, I hated that. That was.
She just kept mentioning the candy bar.
I was happy when they got away. They did away with that. I was like, all right, thank you.
Yes.
That was.
That
really
was
bad.
just so over the top and awful. I can't even put my finger on what exactly just rankled me so much about it. But ugh.
Well, the acting was terrible too. The acting was bad. The dialogue was cringeworthy and borderline offensive, and yeah, it was just bad. It was really bad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my candy bar.
Yeah.
Mother trucker.
And my thought was just throw her a Snickers or something out of the window, and maybe she'd be fine.
Yeah.
Like, it would be such a low cost. Yeah. There's a short story called The Lottery by Shirley Jackson that kept popping into my mind while I was watching this movie, because it's about these townsfolk have a lottery and they draw a name, and the anyway, I won't ruin it, but it's kind of similar to the premise of this movie for any listeners who have read it.
That's I haven't read that one, but it's been on my to read list, so I'm interested to read it.
It's really short. So the other bad decision I had written down was the store owner. They get to this super safe house, right, where everybody's super safe and they're okay, and then the guy's like, "All right, I'm going back to my store now." And it's like, wait, what? Why would you go back? And then either they already ruined it or they,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And the whole thing, like his whole conversation with the insurance company the day before the purge, they're like, "Oh,
that was
they can't do this. They raise my purge coverage rates." I'm like, and that it just seems so improbable. Like, they're gonna call you randomly in the middle of the calendar year to tell you they've raised you. I couldn't.
Well, I get what they're doing, as I'm sure you do as well, but it just felt so forced and bad.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, the dialogue was bad and the acting was bad throughout this movie. Like, I mean, he's a good actor. I've seen him in a lot of other stuff, including like Forrest Gump and all that. And it just, in fact, that whole intro scene with him was so bad. Like, all of it.
Yeah.
And these are supposed to be your big characters that you're supposed to love. And I don't know. I didn't really like any of them.
Mm-mm.
And I don't really. I thought there was going to be more of a twist with the senator lady, because they opened up with, and they showed this in the trailer earlier. They opened up with her family being killed, but I thought there was going to be some twist, like she was in on it or something crazier, and there really wasn't.
Yeah.
Right.
It was not clever writing to Kelly's earlier point.
Did you guys think there was going to somehow come back to that, and there was going to be some twist? I thought.
Well, I should have thought that, but it was such a non thing at the beginning that they never mentioned again that I just forgot about that opening scene. In fact, when I was watching the trailer just now, I thought, oh yeah, that was a weird scene at the beginning.
I mean, that's the whole thing. It's the motivation behind her wanting to do it. I get that, but it just, I don't know. Usually when a movie focuses that much and they put it in the very first scene, to never come back to it ever again. Like, I thought, okay, there's something from her past, or she's really going to be one that wants to continue the purge. Like, that would have been a much better twist to me, even if I predicted it, but the fact that it didn't go anywhere, and it just felt wasted, a wasted opportunity to do something cool, or to turn it on its head. I don't know, defy the expectations there maybe, but yeah, just very, very flat everything except some of those cool scenes. Like, I feel like this is one of those movies where they have these like ideas of crazy things, like, oh, we're gonna put people in these masks that light up, and we're gonna do this kind of imagery, and especially this one being election year, we're gonna do this kind of Americana imagery throughout it, and just, but not much thought went into the rest of it. It seemed to be anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, there could have been something there, but it just really didn't.
Have you seen any of the other ones, Kelly?
No.
Check out the first one, because the first one I think it's got Ethan Hawke in it, and what's her name, Lena Headey from Game of Thrones. She's in it, so it's like the two of them, and it's like I said, instead of being about showing the rest of the world, it's kind of showing one house and like what happens if your protection system can't protect you from the people trying to get in, kind of thing. And that's cool. And that's the only thing that ties all of these movies together. The guy, I can't think of his name, but it's in the van in this movie. It's the guy that they have like strapped down. They have to handcuff him to the thing. Yeah. He's in like at least the first 3 movies. He's like the main like supporting tying thread there, I guess.
Okay.
But anyway, but the first movie, like I said, I don't love the first movie, but I think there's a lot of interesting stuff, and there's some good moments in it. I just think that every film gets worse than the last one, so in this series.
Yeah, it's disappointing.
Yeah.
As happens often.
Yeah.
But they make more money apparently, like each one makes more money than the last, so it's interesting.
Now we know why they do it.
That's right. Any other thoughts?
I will. I'll check out the first one because I'm interested in it. Especially if you say it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's better. It's like I said, it's not like my favorite movie or anything, but I think it's significantly better than these. It's just one of those. The only problem I have with the first one really is that the characters start making really stupid choices, and it's just like, what are you doing? It's kind of like it treats it like that kind of thing. But the premise I think is much more. It's better executed in that movie than it is here. So. Yeah. All right, guys. You guys have any other thoughts about this movie?
No.
I enjoyed these movies. I more than I thought that I was going to. Not that I didn't think that I wasn't going to enjoy them, but I'm not, a big political person. I'm not that into election movies, which I forgot there was such a rash of political films in the 90s and early 2000s. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed this topic.
Yeah, and I put the Purge on there. You guys know what we're talking about. That was one I added at the last minute. I just wanted something a little more contemporary because it is the most recent one. And something that's a little people may not think about, in terms of being about an election. I just thought it was kind of a cool little fit. And also, I mean, if we were putting these on the list, this would probably be our bad movie out of this episode, I would say. So,
yeah.
Although I don't really know which one I would say would be the ugly, but maybe Primary Colors for me.
I would call this one ugly.
Really? Which will be your bad? Are any of these bad? Or is it
I don't think they're any bad. I mean, I was okay with Wag the Dog. If I had to pick a bad, it'd probably be the Purge one.
All right. So we Kelly and I have talked. I don't know if we talked about this, Mark, but we kind of what we're gonna do is
say who we voted for.
Yeah, exactly. But this episode is going to be our only one in November, and then we're going to probably do one in the beginning of December, which is I think going to be Kelly's pick. I'm not trying to put her on the spot. Kelly, do you have any picks for the next one?
Not yet. I've got them cooking, but not ready to announce.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll let you guys know that, but we're gonna just instead of doing a 50-50 or here and there, we're gonna take off for Thanksgiving and for Christmas as well. We may do like a little mini episode in Christmas as well, like a special Christmas one. But so we'll take off for that. So you probably won't see us again for another month. But we thought
that'll give me just enough time to put the Christmas lights on the house.
Awesome.
How many I've got? It's gonna be good this year, Charles.
I'm excited. I always like seeing your stuff. That reminds me of how we met. But anyway,
you're just gonna move past.
I am. I wasn't sure. Well, there was
we
a
at least
delay.
got it in there.
There was a delay, and I wasn't sure if you were going along with me or not on that. So it's just like, but yes, I was gonna say that Mark always has a very fantastic Christmas decoration.
We just keep adding too. We just keep adding.
Yeah.
No inflatables. That's my one rule for Christmas decorations. No inflatables.
It's a good rule.
We had some for Halloween. I broke down and we bought the huge Mickey Mouse pumpkin for Halloween, but
I wanted to get one of those giant skeletons from Home Depot, but
those look pretty sweet.
They were sold out everywhere and they were really expensive anyway. So, and my wife actually made this shirt. It was for.
Oh, nice. I think
Cool.
I think we have your birthday gift we haven't given you yet. That's Jason themed.
Oh, really?
So, spoiler. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
I meant to give it to you like the day of the podcast or something, and then I completely forgot. So happy birthday.
Well, thank you. Awesome. But yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing for the next. So like I said, we'll be back a month from now. Anything else you guys want to add or throw out? I haven't seen really much results coming in from the election, so
yeah,
I hope
pretty
this
much
has kind of been a good distraction.
Yeah, I just say keep calm. Everything will simmer down eventually.
Yep.
There might be some craziness in the next day or two, but
it'll all be okay.
Yes.
We'll get through it.
Go grab your Constitution, your copy of the Constitution, and hug it tight. We'll all be okay.
Yes.
Right,
and
Mark?
your Fleming brand.
Your Fleming brand. Fleming brand outros.
That's another thing. We may do a Sean Connery something soon.
Oh yeah.
Because he just passed away. So
Passed
away on Halloween.
Sad to hear. All right. Well, you can catch us live on Facebook or listen to the replay on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and YouTube by searching Good Bad Podcast, all one word, or head over to our website, itsjustawesome.com. But wherever you check us out, please be sure to subscribe. It really does help. Thanks, guys. I have been Mark.
All right. I have been Kelly.
And I'm Charles. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.